And good evening. Welcome to episode 54 of Endless Banter. I hope we're all doing well. We are joined this week by Mr. PH. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Not too bad. How are you, Thomas?
I'm not too bad. I'm excited for next week. I'm not even going to lie. I'm actually really excited for next week. Apart from that, yeah, not too bad. So, have you been this week? What have you had for tea? What are you drinking? Checking. We haven't seen you in 2 weeks. You're back. So, how have you been? What have you been up to?
I'm just sending you a request to join your Facebook Live.
Cool.
We went on holiday last week. Got back Friday. Ava's birthday Saturday, Easter Sunday, bank holiday Monday, back to work yesterday.
Did you have a good time away?
Yeah, it was nice. Mate, I've got the most dodgiest phone holder today.
What are you using today?
I've got an extension lead. Like a real extension, not a real, as in like real life. It is actually a real life extension. I've got a real. It's got the Mac plug in it, and then on the back side, it's got Tasha's iPhone plug in it, and my phone's wedged between the two plugs, and the whole reel's propped up on a packet of baby wipes to give this angle.
Just to let you all know, Paul still keeps it real.
And I was thinking, when I was doing the live, not last week, the week before, I need to design a proper workstation.
What, for like on the go sort of workstation?
No, to sell.
What sort of workstation though? As I mean, like on the go, as in you can just prop it
No,
on
I
the go,
don't,
like
mate.
wherever.
Even a phone holder that clips onto the back of my Mac, like the webcam.
So you could put the.
I could just have my phone on the back of my computer.
I like that idea, and you've just told the world.
I've been copying my shit for fucking 6 years.
You could literally have like 6 different phones just lined up on all different platforms. That would actually be pretty cool. I actually like that idea. Good evening, everybody on Facebook. Good evening, everybody on YouTube.
Good evening, both. Mr. Ash Upton, a man I haven't seen since the last expo, actually. And Ash always comes and finds me. Mr. Billy Harrison, Jack Newell.
Good got a few people in. Oh, so you got any gossip for us? As we've not seen you in a week, you've not really done any statuses of the week, so I can't really put a status of the week up this week. But so you got any gossip?
Are we live on YouTube, mate?
Yeah, we're on both. If everybody in the YouTube chat, everyone's saying evening, so we must be live. It's so fucking smoggy, this weather. It's been ridiculous. So obviously you were away. You must have really enjoyed the weather because it was a beautiful time for weather when you was away.
It was nice. We had a wicked week. We got back. We had a birthday party for Ava on Saturday. It was 18. We had a lovely day. Sunday was lovely. Bank holiday Monday was not too bad. Yesterday, I'm not even sure because I went into the office yesterday morning and pretty much sat in the office till I left. And today, to be fair, I was outside. I went round the MD's office this morning and we had a meeting at the factory with some customers. So I went round there and I went back round to the MD's office. And when I left there, I went to my office. And all them journeys was fucking glorious sun. And I literally just walked into my office and the heavens opened.
Yeah, it was still red hot though, wasn't it? Really fucking hot.
It's just muggy as fuck.
It's meant to be like pissing it down all week as well.
Yeah, Tash was going to take the girls to Drayton Manor tomorrow, but it's going to rain all day tomorrow, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and be overcast on Sunday. Good evening, everyone who's joined in on YouTube. Neil, Adam, Pixie, Ross, Neil M.
So before we get down to the nitty gritty, I've got obviously you sent me a picture of this. Was it yesterday? You sent me the picture of something in boxes, and I had loads of people commenting saying what was in the boxes. If you didn't see, I had drip tips, I had hot pants for the team, I had all sorts of shit in it. So you sent me a picture. For the people who don't know what the picture of the box was, what's in the box? Well, what's in the 8 boxes or 7 boxes?
Mate, if all them boxes are ours, they've fucked the order up big time. I actually think the 5 in the background might be ours. I was trying to work out how many. I mean, that the box that the dirtier set comes in is quite big.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we might have 40 boxes, and 5 boxes of 40s 200. Plus, there is actually a parcel of decks to come as well because we're low on V2S decks. So there is some V2S decks coming as well. So they were shipped Chinese yesterday, which is so that, I mean, where are we? Tuesday. We could get them as early as Friday. We might have them Monday. That said, I owe DHL £28, so they might put me on stop, and we might not get the fucking things.
28 quid,
mate. I'm not. We was talking about this the other day. Right? We've had times where we've owed them £8,000, and it's just like, to be fair, with the invoices coming, I forget to pay them, and then they'll literally just send a text message or an email saying you need to settle your bill. Bam, fucking pay it, done. We had a letter off them the other day saying they're going to take us to court for £28, and you know what it's for? It's actually the customs I had to pay for the sample dirtiers.
no way.
So like, I didn't even get any paperwork with that. You just got signed for in the shop, and obviously because we've got an account with them, they just stick it on the account.
For
28 quid, mate. So, but Tash did try and pay it when we was on holiday, and it wouldn't let her pay it on the website for some reason. So
28 quid.
I need to get that sorted and squared up, because last time this happened was right at Expo again, and we paid it, and they said it could take up to 3 days for the account to come off hold. And I was like,
No.
we ain't got 3 days, you mad geezer, man. Send me my fucking shit out.
28 quid in the morning. Give me a ring. I'll go fucking phone him myself.
You just go online normally and pay through our online account, but he just wouldn't let it when we was away through the phone. It could have been that the phone app sort of it was down, or I don't know.
Fucking mental. Oh, and the video that I put online got such a fucking wicked response of the packaging. It got a wicked response.
£23.89. Motherfuckers.
Fucking hell. My KFC fucking tab's bigger than that.
I don't know where my YouTube's just disappeared to.
Oh my lord, it's so fucking smuggy.
It's fucking warm, isn't it?
Fucking proper. So yeah, the video of the packaging got a massive response, and I honestly, when you sent me it, I was like, yes, this looks sick. I saw someone comment, the box is nearly as big as the fucking keyboard. That's what I saw. I was like, fucking, it's massive, but it looks spot on. Looks absolutely mint.
Well, it obviously comes with eight internal sleeves as well. So you've got 2 sleeves if you want it 18650, a different 2 sleeves if you want it 2650, a different 2 sleeves if you want it 2700, different 2 sleeves if you want it 21700, and then obviously if it's 26650, you just run battery straight in there. I'm really pleased with it actually. I say that the engraving looks spot on. The laser etching on the hybrid looks nice, and they're sending me. They've only got literally 3 hybrids that aren't laser etched. 1 button that's not been engraved, and it was really for me to send to Tim Davies to get him to do me a funky hybrid and some buttons and whatever. But I tried to get 10 off them, so I could get 1 done for like you and Adam and Nikki and Pixie and Tasha and whoever else is having one. But they never had none made, so. Yeah, but yeah,
They've been quick on it though, aren't they?
Mate, to be fair, I'm trying to think when I placed the actual physical order, but I literally spent. It was even maybe the first week I was off sick when I started working, or the week after that, maybe the week. Yeah, probably into the second week of when I was off sick when I first started doing the drawings, and I'd already got an idea and made what I wanted it to be anyway. And so look, it's not look. There's nothing on that mod you can use on an old dirty mod. The switch is different, the hybrid's different, the threadings are different. The only thing that's common to it is 34mm. So the deck's different, the cap's different. So there's nothing that's interchangeable between the two. The RDA has changed, so it's 2 holes instead of 3 holes per post, and that's really because the outside ones on the 3-hole were pretty much redundant. There was not really a reason for using them so close to the outside edge of the cap. It comes with a squonk pin as well, so if you've got one of them big fucking, I know they do a big squonk, don't they?
It's is it overkill or oversize? Or is it
Not
overkill? Is
even
it?
that, they do a squonk, which is a bit like a Wismec. They do something.
Okay.
They do something like that. That's like triangular. That's also a squonk as well.
So it fits lovely and flush on there.
Mate, to be honest, I can't remember what they charged me for the squonk pin. It was like stupid. It was less than $1 a pin or something. So I was like, you know what, just put the squonk pin in there anyway.
Yeah, sometimes it's worth it, obviously, for that. And I love the way, obviously, now it's obviously still the same aspect of the V2S, but obviously now it's got 2 holes rather than 3 holes, and I think it'll work even easier than the 3 hole.
Yeah, the posts are slightly bigger. The holes are slightly bigger. It's got slotted grub screws as well. And the reason for the slotted grub screws is just that most people have got a screwdriver on. The only time I've ever used a hex, the right hex, is the first time I've ever built something, and the hex is in the packet. And then after that, I've got genuinely my core kit's in there. I've had the same core kit for probably three or 4 years. It's an original Core Master. It's one of the bigger ones as well. So it's the original Core Master. It's split to fuck because I used to literally have about 70 reels of fucking wire in there. Like I had more in that than most people carry in a backpack. It was shocking. But there's also around about 60 different Allen keys that have come with various mods, various drippers, various fucking tanks. So I decided to slot the grub screws. We slotted the grub screws. That's enabled us to bring the RDA down lower than the existing. So I think off the top of my head, a Slam 34 was 22 mil. The tube was 22 mil. Then the AFC sits on top of that. This is 18 mil. So it's only 4 mil, but it's about nearly 20% of the overall height difference between the Slam and this, the dirty RDA. So, and I think when we do the next round of Slam, we brought out the Crown, which actually for me is proper nice looking RDA. To be fair, I actually really like that RDA, and that's lower than the Slam as well. So, and all that does is it just aids the flavour really because you're just closer to the coil. So. The threads on this, like I said a few weeks ago, if you break the threads on this, then you need to get yourself down to the fucking Mongol strength clinic.
Will these be on sale on Friday, B2B? Yes, they will.
There will be, and what I'm going to do is, 200 mods is not a lot of mods. And we've sold way more than 200 mods in the past at any expo, but obviously that's a mixture of all different mods. If for any reason we sell more than I expect to on Friday, then I will hold some back till Saturday. And again, if we get to the point where even if I have to hold 10 back till Sunday or whatever, we'll get the pre-order sorted online, probably Friday of this week. I have asked them because in the past we've been missing serial numbers, and basically they've set the CNC machine up. If it fucks one of them up, instead of making another 001, they just make 201 and start at 002. I have asked her, and she's assured me that for some reason the quadruple zero's gone fucking walkies. But I think they've done an engraving on that just to test the engraving. And I have asked her to send it if they've got it because it was a full working mod. So it starts at 0001, goes up to 200 on this first run. We'll get 50 put online, but I want to wait for them to come in so I can make sure, because we'll probably list number 50 to 101 on the pre-order. And the reason for 50 to 101 is because I'm taking 69 for myself, because I've actually got 69 in the original Dirty mod as well. So I want to keep 69 for myself.
Love that. So definitely going to be pre-order on them. And you're saying 50 to 101?
Yeah, so there'll be a pre-order. I mean, mate, that's I might not even do serial numbers on the pre-order. It might just be a case of list 50. and
Get what
actually
you
they
give them.
definitely 100% won't be dispatched until after Expo, and that will be the Tuesday because it's Bank Holiday Monday. And anyone that buys it pre-order, you can come to the stand kicking and screaming and having a blue fit. You won't be able to collect it from the stand. So
I will put it on the listing as well on the website that you won't be sent out till the Tuesday.
yeah, absolutely, and that'll be the pre-order. It'll be paid for in full. And that's on the basis that obviously we've got people that support us and have supported us right from day one that can't get to Expo. And I feel we've never done a pre-order. The only time I ever done a pre-order was on the first lot of mods, the very, very first run of mods. And actually I put it on pre-order when they'd been shipped from China. And that was when we had the first issues of, like, I can't remember, I think we had 100 mods and we sold them in 2 days. By the second not they'd sold out, they were done. But then what happened was we had 100 mods coming, but the run it went up to something like 106. So there was 5 numbers missing, but there's people that had pre-ordered certain numbers, and it was just a fucking ball ache. So I vowed after that never ever to do a pre-order. But we will do a pre-order.
Pixie's asking, will the original Dirty deck fit on the new Dirtier?
You know what? To be honest, I don't know. That's the absolute truth, because I wanted the deck to be slightly smaller, so the wall thickness on the RDA I think is slightly thicker. Now, I never had, as silly as it sounds, my verniers broke, when I was doing the drawing. So the actual deck is 30 mil. So we've got 2 mil wall thickness on the RDA because I didn't want the deck to be bigger than 30 mil. I'm 99% sure the original deck's 30 mil as well, so it might do, but I don't know. I mean, I'm working on the assumption that nothing on them's interchangeable.
Sonny, just to answer your question as well, Sonny's saying, where do you guys get these made? They are designed by Paul in the UK and manufactured in China.
Certainly are.
And before anybody says anything, Paul's and the Endless have never ever said they've ever been made in the UK. They've always been pronounced as made in China.
It's quite funny today. I was looking at one of our customers. They manufacture a product in China and it's shipped in. And it's galvanized and then it's powder coated and assembled and whatever. And on their website, it actually states made in the UK.
It's naughty, that.
No, sorry, it says built in the UK. And in theory, it's built in the UK because a body comes in from China, then it's galvanized, then it's powder coated, then it's assembled with casters and lids and whatever. And but genuinely, when we first looked at this project, I looked at I don't know who I've got feedback off here, because I've got earphones in, but I've definitely got feedback off someone.
Try again.
I looked at the legalities of claiming UK made, and if we'd done more than 40% of the assembly, or something, I can't remember, I think it was 40%, then we could claim UK made.
Really?
Literally at that point, when them first lots of mods come in and we were having them, we used to disassemble every single mod and rebuild it to make sure everything was right on it, until we were confident in the QA systems that we've got at the Chinese factory. But then I thought, you know what, it's a little bit sneaky, man. And at the end of the day, we're retailing this whole set for £150. Now, what I can say genuinely is our prices have gone up from when we done the first Dirties, which is 2 years ago. We actually launched it at the May Expo 2 years ago, the original Dirty. Our manufacturing cost on this kit has gone up by about 20%. And it's retailing £30 cheaper than what the original brass one was. And it takes all 4 batteries, and it comes with the sleeves, and it comes with the squonk pin. They're serialised decks and RDAs, which we did on the first 200 of the first one as well. So it was only the first 200 brass, I think, were serialised matching. So all these will be matching sets, deck and RDA. And then after that, it's just going to be a free-for-all, because we'll end up having some RDAs made like we did with the 34 Slam, so that then knocks the serial numbers off from the actual mod bodies and stuff like that. So, but yeah, it's we've tried to work on the basis that there's, as with all of the endless mods that we've launched so far, everything we've personally sold more direct through Shady Vaping's website than anywhere else. And I guess that's because I'm synonymous with Endless and people buy it off me direct. on that basis, my intention with this isn't to, unless someone wants to take some wholesale, the margins aren't going to be the same as they was on the original Dirty because there's not enough margin in there. It's going to be a case if someone wants to take a few, they'll make decent money on it, but it's not going to be the same margin as what the old ones was. But it enabled us to take 20% off the price and actually work on the base of direct retailing it. And I think for me, that's the way that I'm just going to go with this now, is do much smaller runs, drop the price down, service the customers that have stuck with us. We've obviously got the Asylum brand, and I've been thinking about the Asylum brand, and to be fair, quite aside from relaunching the Sherman in some sort of guise, whether that be a combination of the Sherman and the Halo combined, because the Halo had this pressure system to stop it leaking and whatever. I really like the idea of my head's been sort of half going mad thinking about branding we can do for Asylum, whether that be engraving on the tubes, on the decks. There's all sorts of different stuff we can do. So I think by October we will have an Asylum mod, Asylum being with the EM range of products, even if that's engraving. Like if we do some dirties now, the dirtiers, it could be that we have 200 maids that have got no engraving on whatsoever, and we just do them as 4 lots of 50 Asylum dirtiers. So it's a dirtier mod that will be under the Asylum guise with a certain set of branding and or engravings or pictures or colours or I don't really know yet, but I quite like the idea of being able to do something around the whole Asylum thing, just on the basis that Endless has always been quite a sort of a clean looking mod really. The branding was quite clean, and it wasn't like, if you look at Death Wish, Max has got so many avenues that he can take that type of branding down, and he can do different things, and there's a lot of stuff you can do and work with there. And I believe that with the Asylum mod we can do probably more. And literally my head's been, and I'm like, oh, we could do that to the button, it'd look sick. Oh, we could do this, we could do that, we could do the other. And so I'm quite excited about doing that, and actually maybe not splitting Endless into Asylum, but actually having Asylum product that is specific to Asylum and some Endless products that's specific to Endless, and to say maybe some in the middle that has got no Endless branding on it, but it'll have the Asylum branding on it, but it might be the same as the Endless mod, if that makes sense. Do you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just think there's quite a lot we can do there.
Like into a different sort of sector.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's about, like, we've never really had a team. Like, we sponsored a few people along the way, and I never particularly wanted sponsors per se, because I think it's too easy for people to go, oh, you're only posting that because you're sponsored by them. And actually, the only person that we actually physically sponsor is Adam Rayner, and that's only because Adam has always repped everything that we've done, and he stands behind what we do, and he's dead loyal to what we've done, and as was Richard Worrell, to be fair. And Richard was Endless through and through, and then he decided he wanted to go on to different things, and that's cool. And actually, Richard and what was his name? Tom, the first.
Andy.
So Richard and Andy were just people that were grafting their bollocks off on Instagram, repping our product. And I didn't even realise Richard was a customer at our shop physically until months after I'd seen his stuff being constantly posted on, because I weren't going down the shop on a regular basis. But I remember one of the lads saying, I mean, Richard started off with the Clone Able. Mate, this thing looked fire. He was like the most highly polished clone mod you've ever seen. It looked the absolute bollocks, genuinely. And then he went over to Endless, and he was repping Endless hard on Instagram. And actually, I remember saying to you, you know what, just message these two lads and offer them something. And actually, I think we give them a 40% discount for them to buy from us, and a discount code, because there was people coming to me saying, oh, I've seen Richard Worrell on Instagram and whatever. But we've never really pushed the team as such, because as much as we have a lot of people supporting us on social media, we don't pay anyone to support what we do. We've just got people that have repped us for a long time, and that is, it's like with Adele. Adele's properly got behind our brand for getting on for over 2 years now. And for me to sponsor Adele, there's already people that sort of, I know Adele can come across wrong on some groups because she's so passionate about what she posts about our stuff. That said, she's just as passionate about posting for Suicide mods. And she's not sponsored by Suicide, but Suicide sponsor a group. And she's passionate about juice sources liquids, which aren't our liquids. We don't even really stock juice source in our shop. So it's not that she's pushing the sales for juice source through Shady Vaping. She's just passionate about the things that she wants to be passionate about. But if all of a sudden she was sponsored by us, 90% of what she says can come across as being quite fickle.
Mm.
And actually, as much as people still think that now, and I know that they do, and I can tell by the way they react to some of her posts, I know that she's doing it because she wants to.
Genuine, yeah.
And that means more to me than it does to anyone else out there, because actually, and it's the same with Adam. But I think with the asylum thing, there's a real opportunity to put together a team that are just fucking mad mental cunts. No, honestly, you know what I mean? And it's not really about getting out there and fucking repping the brand and blowing clouds and doing tricks, but just a bit of craziness to the whole brand that has generally been quite. When I first set this up, I wanted it to be professional, I wanted it to be right, and I wanted the branding to look right. And we've always tried to make sure the packaging looks right, and that worked for us at that time. Maybe now it's just time to mix it up a little bit and just do something a little bit crazy with that whole asylum thing. And I don't know, I've just got a lot of ideas. And obviously I was speaking to Jack the weekend, and Jack could probably just come up with 652,000 asylum ideas on his own, just from personal experience, because he's that way. But actually we had a conversation on Saturday, which both led us down to me, ultimately end up me saying, I've been thinking exactly the same thing all week. I'm not even going to say anything that I've got an idea of, but I've got certain ideas where I know you could do a mod, and you could do even liquid, and you could do a box mod that all fit in around that same funky branding, and it'd look fucking sick. And I know that it would, because in my head I know how I'd want it to be. So yeah, so that's really what we'll see where it goes. And I genuinely feel like mech is taking a little bit of a resurgence as well. So I feel like there's a lot more people looking to buy mechs. I've seen a lot of people asking about mechs and stuff like that. So for anyone that's coming to Expo that hasn't had a mech, we will have some serious offers on old endless stock. So I'm not even sure what the numbers are. I haven't got a clue what stock we've got in, but we've definitely got some clean mods. We've definitely got. Well, we're not taking a huge amount of stock, but the shop is 5 miles from there. So if we need to restock, we can. But I'm thinking clean mods, 25 quid. I'm thinking cleaner mods, 45 quid. I'm thinking Empresses, 55 quid. Now, if anyone comes and they're £30 instead of 25, I don't want you going, fucking hell, you prick, you sit on your live feed 25. I haven't even sat down. You know yourself, Tom, normally by now we've got a price list together, or at least we spoke about it. I haven't done fuck all, so but I'm just thinking we ain't got a huge amount of stock, but we've got enough stock to clear some of the old stuff. And then if there is people that want to start using a mech, there's some decent product to be had for cheap money to get into the mech market. It's an opportunity that weekend to sit down with anyone that's on our stand and get some advice and learn what you're doing, and we'll do that. And obviously, generally, we've got some really good people behind. We've got Nikki Fraser, we've got Pixie, we've got Adele, we've got Adam, we've got Viv, we've got yourself, me, Jack, and all them people who understand and know mech. And on that basis, lots of people that can speak to and learn from. And I personally think once we've got Expo out of the way, we should do more. We should be more concentrated on building our YouTube channel to cater for beginners, understanding Ohm's law, and all them things that we've said many times. Our knowledge has grown over the years, and we've all grown together. Therefore, we're hanging around in a pack of people who've got a very similar high level of knowledge. And you tend to assume that anyone who vapes should understand and know. But the reality is, when I first started, I didn't have a fucking clue. And I relied solely on Facebook and groups and people posting videos and doing all the things that do. You know, I see people posting them now, and then I see the experienced people mocking them and putting little snidey remarks on the videos. But the reality is, there's lots of people out there that only started vaping on a 200 watt regulated device who don't understand anything more than that coil needs 60 watts, 80 watts, 120 watts. So I feel like there's a chance to have a little bit of a resurgence on mech again. And if that means you want to buy a decent, authentic mod, come and see us at Expo. We are right by the door. So as soon as you walk through the door, bust a right, we're right there.
Salam asked the question. Paulie just said, is the Dirtier the first mod to take every battery?
I don't know. Is the truth of it, mate. I've seen mods that will take 18 650, 20 650, 2700, 21 700. I've not seen anything that takes 26 650 as well. So
I believe it's the first.
I'm not making any claims because I don't know. So I'll make the claim. I'm the first in the world to do this like we was with the 2700, and I'll let someone tell me different because everyone will be going, "You fucking dickhead! This mod's been out since 1981. That took all the batteries before the batteries even was invented. This mod took them."
The vape man photo says the build mats were a great idea with the arms and stuff for building and stuff.
I agree, and I think we should have on our website something like we own the domain, the Vaping Wiki, and the whole point of me buying that domain was for it to be a vaping style Wikipedia. So actually people could go on there and put their own data on there, and then we'd approve it, and we'd sort of grow the knowledge. So if someone wanted to know about silica, if someone wanted to know about rebuilding an 18 mil fucking mesh RDA, if someone wants to know about a fucking series build, if someone wants to know why some 3-post RDAs have got a negative post and what it does, and actually just keep expanding the knowledge, get to a point where most questions can be answered through that link. And even to the point where you can put a request in, and then I could say to you, Tom, tomorrow, just spend a couple of hours and write something up that covers that question and actually build the knowledge. So, and I did say to Jack a few weeks ago, we've got the Vaping Weekend. Is there something we can do with it to be able to divert people to that for knowledge of whatever knowledge that might be? So, but then I also think that we should have charts of, certainly with Builder. And the trouble is, we kicked off with whatever it was, 60 odd variants of Builder, which was a huge wire range. For us to sit down and then go through all of that and say, right, this wire's fucking X ohms per inch, therefore on a 3 mil it's this, on a so many wraps 2.5 mils. It's a lot of work to do. But we can do something.
Kevin Hardisco can do that because I'm bad at stuff like that. I don't know them too wicked, mate. Because something like that to me gives us the opportunity to speak to somebody like Mooch, who is the most respected battery tester and on the planet in vaping. You know, for him to sort of give us his results and get the results on the website, to have that information there as well, because it gives it to a wider audience as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. So I think it's just. I've said this too many times for us not to act upon it now, Tom, but genuinely we've acknowledged the fact that our knowledge has surpassed lots and lots of people, but we've never ever took the time to go back to the basics and start again. And I think for me personally, when I've tried to do that, I can see some of the more experienced people having a knock at me like I'm trying to be patronising. And it's not. It's genuinely about giving someone the advice. I know lots of people that have inboxed me and said, I really want to use a mech, but I don't know where the fuck to start. Now, if I haven't got time to say, then no, I could say to them, or tag Nicky Fraser in a message thread, or Adam or someone, and say, this lad wants to use mech. Do you want to have a chat with him and talk him through it? You try and do that on some of the groups now, and they're just full of arseholes. It's no good me trying to gloss it up. So if I do a post saying, right, let's do a build and explain about wicking, and I can remember you doing a video on using and wicking fuzz cotton, right, back in the day when you was TYV boy. And if I'm being absolutely honest, Tom, I watched that video and thought, is Tom some sort of prick like we don't know how to use cotton? But the reality is, when I bought my first RDA set, I didn't know how to use cotton.
Yeah.
And there's people out there now that still say to me, I commented on a thread a few weeks ago and someone put something about cotton balls from Boots. And the amount of negative comments on that saying, yeah, you fucking vape that if you want to. And I was like, mate, when
We
we
used to.
started, there weren't fuck all else to use. And I can remember the chap who I bought my stuff off saying to me, you need to get some cotton. And I was thinking, where the fuck do I get cotton from? And he was like, I just cotton wall balls. Obviously, in your head, you think, oh, they're just going to set fire. But they don't burn because it's cotton.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's like, just bear in mind, people, if you use cotton from boots, some cotton balls, expect the dirtiest dry you'll ever have in your fucking life.
And make sure the non-bleached ones, non-bleached, and yeah, they're gonna taste shit when you get to dry it. And it's like the VG. Can you remember when you still can get VG from Boots, and everyone was like, "Is it all right if I use this?"
That was a regular post, weren't it? 6 times a day on Facebook. I've
Boots
just found
VG.
VG in Boots. Is it okay to use? But I do think there's a lot of people that are using regulated mods that would want to dabble in mech, and even now I've seen people asking. What I will say is there seems to be more people now that come back with a more sensible response. So they're saying, yeah, use a mech, but understand Ohm's law, go on YouTube. Da, da, da. We went through a period a couple of years ago where someone would say, hi, I'm new to mechs. Could anyone give me any recommendation on building a series build? Everyone would shit their fucking liver out and start abusing her. At the end of the day, if you're running 0.4 on a series, it's much safer than a 0.1 on a single. The amp is completely different between them two builds. So I do see people now, there seems to be a little bit more inviting for people. That's probably the best way of putting it, and sort of saying, well, go on YouTube or watch this video or watch that video. Don't go below 0.4 or don't go below 0.5. There's always someone who goes, I run 0.21 on my stacked. And some people do, and that's cool, and it's not my thing personally.
That's what I was going to say, Paul. Do you think there's like too much like conflicting information? Like, how do you know? How would you say to a new vapor? How would you know what's the real opinion rather than somebody just trolling you? Like we know the boiling battery situation. How do you distinguish between it?
I don't think you can, because I see people giving out genuine advice that I wouldn't give out personally, because I would never recommend a newbie running 0.07 on a mech tube. I run 0.07 for 12 months on a single mech tube, and that's how I like my build. And when I tried to go back to a 0.12 or a 0.13, felt like my battery was flat all the time, because that's what my body got used to. That's what I like, the warm vape off that. But as a shop, even to now, we do not put a build on a mod that's lower than 0.2, which is in line with battery safety of any battery we sell. So we won't put a build on lower than 0.2. And if someone buys some of our calls coming in at 0.16 on a single, so they're 0.8, 0.08 on a pair, we won't install them. And if someone came into our shop and said, right, I want the 5-core flat fuse Claptons, and I'm new to mech, we wouldn't sell them. We literally wouldn't sell them to them and say, like, we give away 0.4 coils, so paired up their 0.2, standard fucking old school Canthal 5-wrap 2.5 mil coils. Stick them in, have a fuck about, have a play with it. There's nothing there that's going to be dangerous. Even if they've got a regulated mod and then they buy a mech, I'll say to them, stick the RDA on your regulated and fuck about with it, have a play. Bring it in, or we'll build it for them. They go home. We used to have it all and it was more prominent a few years ago, so more people were fucking about with rebuildable, but they'd come back in within an hour and go, oh, I've tried to fucking re-wick it, mate, and I've fucked my coils because they're pulling the coils out full of liquid and it's ripped the coils off, and you'd straighten them back up and get them all right again. For me, the only advice you can give out there publicly, in my opinion, is the real advice, which is not below 0.2 on a single, not below 0.4 on a stacked.
What do you feel like when people give out like maybe not incorrect information, but not suitable for that person? Because it used to annoy me, really really annoy me.
It's like there's grown men out there who like are showing off that they run a 0.06 build, and it's like their way of going, yeah, it might not be safe, but I know my stuff. I can honestly say, Tom, for all that time that I run them Sam Allen fuse Claptons that were coming in at between 0.065 and 0.075, my mod run cooler than it did when I tried to go back to a 0.1, because I was taking longer drags to get the same hit that I was getting off the 0.06. So actually, my pulsing of my fire button was negligible, because I was literally, and I'd get a nice lungful just off that very short burst. When I went back to a 0.1 or a 0.12, I was taking longer drags on it, and actually my mod was getting warmer to the point where I felt uncomfortable with it, because I'd got used to just taking these very short bursts on a very low build, and I was putting very little strain on my battery, and I was not doing no long, not even a 2-second pull. These were like second fucking bursts, if a second, you know what I mean? And I think for me, it's always about, like, you could have someone who understands Ohm's law inside out and arse backwards, who doesn't understand the importance of a battery wrap being on that mod in a mech tube. Because until I started fucking about with mechs, I didn't even understand how they worked.
Yeah.
And ultimately, the body of the mech is acting as the negative or the positive for the whole of the connection. And like, you see these posts that say, it doesn't matter what the mod's made out of, it's whatever the contact is made out of that makes the mod hit. The whole of the mod is conducting the power. Now, what I will say is, in my personal opinion, between stainless steel, brass, aluminium, copper, which is the 4 main components that a mod would be made of, stainless is the lowest conducting, then brass, then aluminium, and copper being the highest. Most people assume that brass is a higher conductor because it looks shiny and nicer than bare aluminium.
Truth.
Aluminium's not that far away from copper on the chart. Brass is considerably lower. Stainless is considerably lower than that. So, but actually, if you're using any of them mods with a 0.1 build in there, I'm not a genius enough to know the massive. I don't believe for a minute someone could vape on a stainless mod blindfolded over a brass mod blindfolded and say, definitely the second one's the stainless. I can just tell I'm not getting the same amount of watts through the fucking device. Talking out your ass, mate. I know Moot's done a report on this, and the voltage drops that was on identical design mods with different material was negligible. We're talking like it was the difference of 4 watts on a 0.1 build with the same battery in the same mod but different material, 4 watts. You can run a mod at 72 watts, or you can run one at 76 watts, and you ain't going to know the fucking difference.
You really. Never.
So on that basis, it is ultimately, it's down to the quality of the threads, the quality of the switch mechanism as well. Because also, again, and the other thing is, people go on about these constant contact buttons. There's 2 different types of constant contact button. Right? There's one that is a constant contact to the battery, and when the switch hits it, it also hits the body of the mod as well, physically. So things like the broadside, and the soy, which was the soy were the first people to use that clutch mechanism. So on the soy, you've got the contact screwed to the battery in a cone shape, and then the switch comes over the cone, and actually, not only does it stay in contact with the cone, it spreads out and hits the mod body. That is a full contacting switch, which is why the soy performs exceptionally well. There's people out there, mate, that have got claim to have this constant contact switch, and it's exactly the same style of switch as what we use on an endless, but instead of the switch hitting the battery, it's hitting another bit that's joined to the battery, but it's still relying on the mechanism of the switch to join the connection. Well, for me, that's not a constant contact. All it's doing is stopping arc marks on your battery and putting arc marks on an extra bit. It doesn't actually gain to the conductivity of the mod at all in any way, shape, or form.
That's like why like the Able arcs like fuck, because of obviously screwing it into another piece of the, rather than it just being a flush.
Now, but what I mean is, there's like we done a constant contact on the Pandemonium sample, but in reality, what it was a contact that screwed inside the mod and touched the battery permanently. But the switch end of it was, in essence, like an endless. So what I'm saying is, the actual firing pin just hits another bit instead of the battery, and that bit's touching the battery permanently.
Right, yeah.
So all it does, instead of you getting arc marks on the bottom of your battery, the chances are you get arc marks on this extra bit.
on the
But
pin,
that's not constant contact. Constant contact is when the switch is physically contacting both the battery and the mod body.
all at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, which is why in our mod a spring will conduct better than magnets, because actually in theory the spring in our switch set
Touching
makes
everything
it
in it.
makes it's full contact between the battery and then the mod, because the spring's touching the one side of
Because
it.
with the magnets, there's the gap, isn't there? When it's not got full contact because of the magnets, isn't it?
But
Obviously,
again,
the gap
you're
in there.
relying on the tolerances of the machining. So when you've pushed the switch in, it's only the switch touching somewhere around the switch body that makes the contact, unless you're on a constant contact like the soil. And actually with the soil, so what physically happens is, as they go over that and expand, they expand that way, and that outside edge touches the inside of the switch housing, but the center is also touching directly to the battery. So that's not relying on the switch at all. It's actually that clutch mechanism is creating the contact permanently, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Neil said, "Will the dirty be spring or magnets?"
Dirty spring.
You said that you wanted to go back to spring, didn't you, when you first started designing
You know
it?
what, mate? Just on the basis that I put magnets in the first lot of endless, just because at the time Limitless used to charge about 16 quid for a set of silver plated magnets, and we just put them in there standard, and people put them in there as an upgrade. And actually, I used to get my endless, take the switch apart, stick a £2 silver plated spring in it, take my magnets out, and fucking throw them onto the magnet rack at the shop, because I preferred spring. So on this one, we've gone for silver plated spring, just on the basis that I prefer spring switch myself. It will aid the conductivity, even if it's micro bollocks amounts of conductivity. So on that base, I just stuck with the spring.
Spring, more excited now. Well, this is a bit technical. With going back to like the soy, that obviously you actually have said numerous times that you believe that soy's obviously got one of the best switches, but obviously there is that design flaw with the rubber band around it.
Mate, it's genuinely why I've not ever used that switch design. And if I'm being honest, when I first seen the soy switch, I was like, fucking genius. And I've spent many a night, mate, thinking how we can have a constant contact switch that doesn't rely on a clutch system. And me and Chris tried this ball bearing idea in one of the pandemonium, and to be fair, that should work. It's more, if we used a UK manufacturer, we'd probably get that to work. And it's really getting the tolerances of the grooves that the ball bearing's sitting absolutely fucking spot on to the tolerance of the ball bearing, to the tolerance of the switch housing. And what it meant was, when the pin hit the bottom of the battery, the ball bearing was in contact with the pin, and the ball bearing's in contact with the switch housing. And they're just free rolling inside. So you press the switch in, the ball bearings, 4 ball bearings roll up or roll down. So you've got contact not only through the pin and the switch housing anyway, you've got absolute permanent contact between the ball bearing and the switch housing. So it was just, and again, these are just ideas that I've always gone around my head. But when I first seen the soy, I was like, it's fucking clever as fuck. And I would never have cloned that type of mechanism and then broadside dropped the broadside. And I was like, well, they've blatantly copied the switch design. Then I didn't feel so bad about copying it, if I'm honest. I was a bit like, well, actually, it's just another switch idea. Our switch is like a limitless switch, which is like a million other different types of switches. And then you've got the Able switch, which is like the HDNE switch, which is like the Tree of Life switch. And there's a million of them type of switches. The only thing I don't like about the soy is if that elastic band breaks, potentially it can auto fire. So what I'd done in my head was I was thinking, well, how do you make a clutch system that is internally spring loaded, metal spring loaded? So actually the clutch will separate and the springs will pull it back in as it's released. With the soy and with the broadside, it relies on the elastic bands to pull the clutch mechanism back in again.
Yeah.
But all that said, mate, the soy switch design, without a doubt, in my opinion, is one of the cleverest switch, if not the cleverest switch out there on the market. And anyone that uses a broadside who claims it hits hard because it copied Soy's switch design. It's as simple as that. And like I said, I toyed with the idea of using that type of switch design. What I've done is rattled my head of how can we machine it in such a way that it'll spray open, but the machining, when it's released, makes it fall back into place naturally. Even if that was, I even looking at use magnets. So the magnets would conduct.
Okay.
And then as the mechanism dropped back into place, the magnets would also pull everything back into place again.
How I see it is like how I sort of would say it in layman terms is very much like imagine a closed like rosebud and then it's opening. That's what, to me, that's what that mechanism does.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's force. I mean, obviously Faisal is the man behind Soy in the UK. I can't remember whether the Soy switch is 3 segments or 4 segments. I've got a feeling it's 3 segments, so that's going to be around about 120-degree segments to make the 360 degrees of the circle. So as them 3 segments split up, they obviously physically touch the inside of the mod body while the inside is sliding down the cone, which opens up, which is why it's got contact on the cone and contact on the mod body at the same time. Then as you release the switch, it pulls them segments back down, and there's an elastic band around them that pull them back into a circle, which sort of makes them smaller. Then you fire it, they spray open and come back. So it's in essence, it's doing that inside the switch housing. And for the people on YouTube, it's literally it's actually sliding up a tapered pin. So as it slides up the tapered pin, they naturally spray out.
It's like if you can imagine, the pin's like a pencil, isn't it? Like like a top of a pencil.
Yeah. So if the cone is there, the battery is at that end, and that cone is permanently touched to the positive end of the battery. And then as the circles go around the cone, because they've got a certain set hole in the middle, and as it slides into the cone, which is wider, it opens up. So the inside is constantly on the cone and the outside is constantly on the mod body. That is the best way of conducting any mod, because you're not relying on the machine tolerances of the switch housings for the conduction. It's actually mechanically fully contacted. Now, again, if you've got shit threads at the top end, anything you gain in the switch, you could lose at the threads.
Mm.
We had Todd do a voltage drop test on the sleeve mod, mate, which was a 25mm mod. It was only a 22mm tube. In fact, it was 22mm external diameter with the 25mm switch housing, 25mm hybrid in the sleeve. And even with the thread on the hybrid, the thread for the switch, not a constant contact. We had a better voltage drop than an original authentic. What was that mod that used to split down? You could have it 18350, 18500, 18650. Nemesis.
Yeah.
And the Nemesis had a really, really low voltage drop on it.
And that was spring as well.
And the Endless mod had a lower voltage drop than that. So it is about the quality of the threads, the quality of the machining of the threads, how clean your mod is. And cleanliness for me is one of the biggest reasons for a mod working exceptionally well and not working exceptionally well.
Do you think there's a huge difference between, because when we obviously started first seeing mechs, they obviously had the 510 pin, they were never sort of hybrid. Do you think that hybrid plays a massive part in like voltage drop?
No, I don't, because Todd, or if you watch Todd's review, if you put into YouTube review Endless Mod V1, Todd done that. He done it with the hybrid. He done it, and with that come with the 510 as well, didn't it? In that first kit.
Yeah.
And that drop between either of them was the same. Now, at the end of the day, if you imagine, see, the point that I'm trying to make about constant contact is, if we had a dowel ring insert that's screwed inside our mod that was silver plated contact both sides, and you screw that inside the mod and that touches the bottom of the battery, there's people out there that go, oh yeah, it's constant contact, and then when the firing button goes up, it's not hitting the battery, it's hitting another bit. all that's done is put another gap between the switch and the battery. And actually, if you reverse that, the only thing that the 510 done instead of a hybrid was add a contact between the top of the battery and the bottom of the RDA. Now, in theory, if that 510 connection's good, there's no contact there, because the 510 of the RDA will sit properly nice against the 510 at the top of the pin, and the bottom half of the 510 will fit really nice against the battery. Now, if you've got no arcing at them points, you shouldn't have any voltage drop, or very little voltage drop. So again, for me, it was more a case of people at that time going, oh yeah, we've got direct contact. It was about eliminating things where you could get voltage. Now, there's some 510s out there that are shockingly bad. So you won't get voltage drop, and that's because they're actually not touching properly, so that they're arcing their tits off. One, that generates a huge amount of heat, the arcing will, and that's why if you've got a dirty switch and it's arcing, it will get much hotter than it should do if it's not dirty. But I just think if you've got one machine mod and you've got a clean mod and you've got a decent build and a decent battery, there's not a huge amount in it.
It's about care as well, as much as anything else, isn't it? I think a lot of people don't care. You know, like we used to see threads of people cleaning stuff before and afters of dirty mods, and then going and they're seeing them clean. I don't think there is that care, and it's the same in regulated as it is in mech. I just don't think people think, in it, going back to like regulated and stuff, people sort of see because it's got a chip, well, I'm safe. No, because the chip can malfunction or the board can malfunction. Do you know what I mean? I think it's down to care as much as anything else. As much as it is the tube itself, what it actually does, it's also down to the end user. And I think that's a massive downfall in a lot of people, because is it they're lazy, or they just don't know how to clean it and maintain it?
I think they don't know. And I think they don't know because they didn't need to know, because there was this whole persona that if you're on regulated, you're completely safe.
Yeah.
And people just didn't need to care anymore. Where actually, honestly, back in the day when I was using a mech all the time, every single day, I'd know that my switch needed cleaning. Or I'd take my hybrid off, I'd take it all apart and I'd clean all the threads. And I went out and bought little brass wire brushes so I could clean the threads. So I weren't using polish on them, because then the polish can oxidize and that can cause problems. So, but I'd always have my mod cleaner out and my drill out and my cape card, and it'd always be nice and clean. And people now I think old school people understand the importance of at least keeping. It doesn't matter what the external bit looks like.
Oh yeah, of course.
The bits that should be clean is the 510 thread on either the hybrid or the 510, the RDA or the tank screwing onto. Any other threads on the mod, and then the whole switch housing should be nice and clean. And the switch housing is ultimately, like I said, if you haven't got constant contact, the switch housing is what's fully reliant on conducting the power from the battery through the mod body. So if you've got all shit around your 4-in pin, you ain't got a good place for it to conduct from. So, but the outside of it can look like dog shit. And I knew people that didn't like a clean mod, and actually their mods were naturally patina to fuck. But you could have ate your dinner off the threads and the switches and the bits that you couldn't see, because them are the bits that were important to the mod working properly.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% what you're saying, and I think that information does need relaying. It worries me with the fact is that there's that much information out there. When these people are getting into it, it's like an information overload, and who do you trust? That's my main worry about it. It shouldn't really be a worry, but I believe it is, because there is people will go on Facebook, then get laughed at, will not go back onto Facebook. Do you know what I mean? It depends what group you hit, especially with people jumping in on Facebook groups, because you can have people that are very serious about it. You can people who are just trolling. Do you know what I mean? It's getting the information, the correct information, to the right person.
Claire Weston's just asked, how do you know if your switch needs cleaning? Can you tell? Again, the one thing about the switch is, because it's constantly moving, you'll probably find normally the bits that need to be cleaned stay clean naturally, because they're actually moving all the time. Every time you're firing it, there's a bit of it rubbing. But if you're getting hot button and you don't normally get a hot button, and one thing I can say about endless mods is they're not renowned for hot button at all in any way, shape, or form. If ever I got a hot button on any of my mods, I knew something weren't right with the mod. And even when I've got an exceptionally low build on it, anyone that's had a hot button knows the difference between a mod that's getting hot and a hot button, because a hot button will fucking ramp up too fast. It's just too lively. And actually, I don't know if Chris JB's watching on either of the platforms. When we done the ball bearing switch, that hot button like a motherfucker, and it shouldn't really. It really shouldn't. And then we tried another constant contact, that hot button like a motherfucker. And in the end, we literally said on the pan. In fact, Chris messaged me one night and said, "Mate, we're racking our brains here looking to come up with a switch design that works, and you've got one already on the mods, all the mods that you sell." And actually, the latest pandemonium that we had at Expo in October last year was an endless switch inside there, same design as an endless, 3 guided inside, 3 guided outside, just in that threadless housing. On the dirty, it's actually 4 guided external, 3 guided internal. And that was just because of the size of it. I just wanted to just change it up a little bit and just make it something different.
Well, Kevin did make a statement earlier in the chat, and he said that the pandemonium was one of the, I hate this phrase, you know I hate it, but he said it was definitely one of the hardest hitting mods he's ever used. And that's coming from somebody.
Yeah, and you know the thing about that, which is mad, is that like when Chris first spoke to me about this idea in February last year, and I know that because it was at Dale's TYV meet whenever we launched the ME at the Dale's TYV meet, and Chris and me and Mark Dolan were having a good old rattle for a few hours while I was there, and he showed me the design for it, and that's what he was working on. And obviously things changed with the Pandora and whatever, and Chris and I was having a conversation one day, and I said, "Look, I don't mind manufacturing it, but I don't even understand how all this goes." He tried to explain. He showed me the drawing, and I'm not a drawing man. Do me a sketch. Do you know what I mean? And I'll look at it and I'll understand it. And actually, when the first one come, I love the concept of it, and definitely we will drop that mod, and it will be an Asylum mod, because Pandemonium just fits in with Asylum perfectly. But the one thing that I was really, really pleased with is how well it hit on a stainless. It was stainless switch housing, stainless body, stainless 510, and it had a brass firing button. So you've got the 2 lowest conducting materials there, and it actually genuinely hit really, really well. And obviously my concern originally was, because you've got to have some amount of play in the locking mechanism for the threadless, that you might get a voltage drop as it goes. I've not done a voltage drop test on it, but I know when a mod's working well and when it's not. I know what a 4.2 volt battery will hit like, and it does work exceptionally well. So
That's a massive point. So, Expo is next week.
I have not done one thing for Expo. I'm not even joking, like nothing at all.
Well,
normally by now we've got hoodies being made, we've got snapbacks being done.
You have done something, because we've got a mod to drop at the fucking show, so you have done something.
Yeah, but even if we might be flogging that mod off a pacing table, mate, but we'll be there. We'll be there selling our wares. Now the plus size shoes.
What is it now? Fifth, sixth show?
This will be our 7th show. So we done May and October 2016, May and October 17, May and October 18. Now it's May 19. So this is our 7th show. We're on a 12x3, so it's actually considerably smaller than one we had last time, which was fucking ridiculously big.
What did we have last time? 15?
I think we had, I don't know if we had 15 or 18.
It was fucking bad.
It was just too much, mate. It was too much. But this is back to in fact, the nicest picture I see of all of the stands we had was actually a 9x3, which was the one that we had. Not last May, it was the October of the year before, when I'll tell you when it was. It was when the fucking printing was done wrong.
Oh, three S's on it.
No, actually, when the picture was wrong, when we had the cloud bit on there and whatever, and it had the big oval front with endless on. That on a picture looks sick. And actually, it come up in my newsfeed the other day, and there was a picture of our first stand, the 3x3, and then a picture of that one that Stuart Lawley had took, and it looks fire.
You and Tash, is you and Tash in it, and there's me and Adam in it in the picture, I think.
Yeah, yeah. That stand on the 9x3 looks fire, but obviously we've got the liquids now, so 12x3 is perfectly adequate for what we need.
I honestly think we'd still get a good response even if we were on a 3x3.
Mate, I mean, we've been blessed with people that come to see us, and even if they don't buy enough, there's people that literally come backwards and forwards. Adam, who used to work in the shop, his dad Mark always comes past, and he goes, "Oh, fucking hell!" And he has a, "Can I pinch your settee for 10 minutes?" And he'll have a sit down, and I'm just going to go for a walk. I'll be back in half an hour. And all of the fact that people know they can fuck off around, go and get a drink, have a mooch about, come back, sit down, chill, have a chat, and there's none of this like, if you're not buying off us, fuck off, mate. These seats are only for customers. Come and chill with us. That's why we had the stand as big as we had. It was literally to allow people just to come and chill with us. And I say all the sales side of it apart for the weekend. It's nice to have them 2 times a year at the Vapor Expo, where you're just interacting with people that you talk to all year on Facebook and stuff like that, or people that you know have bought your products, or they've inboxed, so I've bought your mod, and or have I got a problem with it? How do I fix this, or how do I do that, or how do I adjust the button, or whatever? For them to come over and actually meet you face to face, and you be able to have a little bit of time. And I do try, mate. I mean, I'm always fucking pulled from pillar to post at any expo. But I do try and take a little bit of time out just to speak to everyone that comes up to me. And the first few where people waited for 25 minutes to speak to me just to say, I just want to say thanks for the mod, and that, it still blows my mind now to think. But it's mad to look back at them pictures from 3 years ago and see that stand that we literally just had, that small backdrop inside the 3x3, no advertising externally, one counter from the shop. And we smashed that fucking weekend by a long shot. Madness. But yeah,
does it blow your mind? Does it blow your mind from looking at where everything was to where it is now and stuff like that, and even down to sort of the industry as well?
Yeah, I
like
think
the change and everything.
You know what? For me, it's still mad to think where we started and what we started doing, which was in essence delivering electronic cigarettes to people's houses from our own house, to manufacturing product that most people who vape know our brand, and we've seen it in Japan, we've seen it in America, we've seen it in Canada, Germany, Spain, Italy. It's mad. It's crazy. It's mad to think I can go on holiday to fucking wherever we were on holiday, and we get to the circus, and the man at the circus was using an endless mod at the interval in the car park. Blows my mind. It's
What do you think you'd be doing? Would you think? I personally think you'd have had another. Because to me personally, I feel like you started this out obviously as a bit of free cash. Do you know what I mean? To try and get Tasha away from the job she was doing, and it obviously gained in what you saw the potential of what could happen. I still believe that you would be doing something mastermindful, even if you wasn't doing this.
I honestly don't know what I'd be doing if we didn't do this, and I'm sure we'd be doing something, because actually Tashi's quite that way as well, to sort of, even for the last 12 months, she's like, what should we be looking at now? What can we be doing? And we're just starting to mess about with something new now, and actually that's been driven by Tash with something that she wants to do. But for me, I don't know. I know I'm just wired in such a way that I'm not really I'm not a very complacent person. I mean, I'm not very.
You're a doer, not a sit stiller. You're a doer.
I'm not a very content person. I'm not so much content with my life. I'm not content with missing an opportunity. And it does my head in if like, mate, I could honestly, and it sounds like I'm being all blowing smoke up my own arse, but there's so many things where I've thought, fuck me, that could be genius. And 12 months later, I've seen something along that idea, and I'm like, bastard. And there's things where it seems that obvious that it's needed that you just assume that it's already out there.
Yeah,
And in
yeah.
reality, when I had that first thought, there was someone else out there with that same first thought who got off their arse and done something with it. And there was even in this Met game, when we first done the drawing for the clean mod, we had an hourglass mod. Now I can honestly say on my dad's grave, I had never heard of Avid Life because I didn't follow the scene outside of my own circle of what I was doing. So when I got added to Mech Addiction, I can remember drawing a mod that was an hourglass, which ultimately looked like a timekeeper. And when I posted the picture, everyone was going, "Oh yeah." And that's genuinely why we didn't drop the hourglass mod. I didn't want people to be going, "Oh, you're just copying AV." I'd never seen a timekeeper before I'd done that picture. I then done another picture that was half hourglass, half straight mod. He looked like a fucking scoundrel. I'd never seen a scoundrel. Like genuinely, I'd never seen one until I was on that group. And we were already balls deep into Endless by the time I got added to Mech Addiction because I didn't really chase all these different groups. We had a pretty big following of our own in our own circle, and I just stuck with that. There's different airflows that I've thought, fucking hell, that would work really well. Then I've seen it on another mod, and I'm like, bastard, I should have done that. I fucked about with clamps before a goon ever dropped, long before a goon ever dropped. And in fact, when our Slam 'em come out, they dropped at a similar time to the goon. Now, that weren't because I seen the goon and was like, oh, I need to do something similar to that. But it's just what I was working on. And we had the post on ours was dropped before the post on Twisted Messy's. And then people are going, oh, yeah, you've copied Twisted Messy's post. I really haven't. Twisted Messy's, that deck wasn't a thing. Their original deck weren't like that. I had the original Twisted Messy's. It was actually a 4-post deck. Well, 4-hole. It was twin centre posts, 2 outside negative posts on the original Twisted Messy's. And actually, when I put that drawing together originally, it was actually where you've got the 2 holes on a V2S. On the outside hole, there was a 3rd hole above that, which in essence was like velocity post but side on. So there was a screw for the top post on the side. Oh no, sorry, the screw for the bottom hole was on the side, and the screw for the top hole was on the top. And then it stepped in, and then you had your 2 middle holes that just had screws at the bottom. So it was actually L-shaped that way. And we've done all the drawings for it, and I remember having the drawings, and I was looking at it thinking, it's clever that is, because you can do all different sorts of things with it. And then James Russell, who was behind CCC, he messaged me one day, and he was like, I'm working on a new post, it's fire. And I said, to be fair, we just had one mocked up, I'm waiting for the samples to come. And he was like, well, I've never seen anything like mine. And I was like, I ain't never seen nothing like mine. And he's like, I've done it, it's got 3 holes in either side. And I said, so has mine. And he sent me a picture, and I sent him the 3D drawing straight away, just so he knew they weren't copying him. And I remember sending it to him straight away and saying, fucking hell, and they were nigh on identical. And like that was literally just like him working on a project. Me and James used to speak a hell of a lot about all different things, but design-wise, he done his thing and dropped it. I done my thing and dropped it. And we were both a bit like, no way, as if like that post was so close to each other. And I literally messaged China after that conversation and said, lop the top off that, and we'll just have the positive one side, negative the other. And that's what we done. So the thing is, I see lots of people saying, oh, that's a copy of this, and like when we done a velocity style deck. Now, literally, there's only one way to copy a velocity style deck, and that's to do a velocity style deck.
Yeah.
And then HDNE have just dropped a 28 mil. I can't even remember what it's called, the Charger or something there.
Crusher or something, is it?
Sorry, so they've got a 28 mil battle deck. Now, it's not called a battle deck, it's called a Crusher. It's a 28 mil battle deck. And it's got the same post size as a battle deck, and it takes the same screws as a battle deck. I'm not even sure if Comp Life are making it for him. I haven't got a clue. I don't know. It just
Only so
always
many ways you can crack a fucking egg,
don't,
don't
mate.
there?
I love Leon, man. He's a straight up geezer. But I just think if I was to drop a 30mm slammer and it's got a battle deck design post system, everyone would go, seriously, mate, all you've done is a 30mm battle deck.
I'd be pissed. I would be pissed because there's so much better technology and you've done better. Me personally, I think the V2S is the best deck out there.
Some people seem to get away with just copying something and changing the size, and other people get ripped for trying to put a little bit of ingenuity into something. Do you know what I mean? And it's like there is only so many ways you can skin a cat. I can remember someone saying to me with what RDA would it have been?
5 p.m. GMT? No, obviously not that busy.
Literally on about the slot on one of the RDAs.
On the slam them to the goo like that. Yours is Cyclops rather than Knowles. Was that the conversation?
It weren't even that. The reason why I've done that is I don't like the holes on. I feel like the goon should have both. I feel like the goon should have 3 holes and it should have a slot.
To be more restrictive, yeah.
I just feel like it needs a little bit more air for me personally, and for the clamp system. When it was fully open with 3 holes, I always felt like I needed to get a Dremel out and fucking take the middle out of them holes and just give it that little bit more air. No, mate, it was a slot. It might have been on the fucking hourglass or something, and I can remember. And it was that fucking arsehole Jay Patel, who I don't see about very often. I mean, Jay Patel, me and Jay actually spoke loads after, and we had really good conversation. And Jay Patel was a troll. Jay Patel is a troll. That's what Jay does. And I suppose on the same level that I'm a troll and I can wind people up and do people's head in and whatever. So I sort of seen through the fact that Jay was just there getting a rise out of people. But I can remember Jay Patel posting something about the slot on the hourglass, saying, oh, it's just like the slot on a such and such. And I was like, a slot is a fucking slot, you prick. There's only so many ways you can fucking make a slot a slot. Let's be honest, there's only so many, like a round hole is a round hole. Whether it's 2.5mm or 3.5mm, it's a fucking round hole. And it's now got to that point with airflows, with caps, with everyone's adopted an 810 drip tip. I was really, really, really tempted on this mod to change, go away from a 510 and just put our own thread design onto the hybrid, and then do a cap that screws onto the RDA that converts that to a 510. And not even do a hybrid that screws straight into the mod. And I did consider that. I did think, should we have just done a hybrid deck?
It's going to take somebody like yourself with big bollocks to turn around and go, we're going to change the standard of what the size fitment is. Because obviously the wider the connection, like the 510, the wider the connection, the more safer it's going to be on the top of the battery.
You can obviously get a bigger conductive area if you've got a bigger pin. When I think about the size of a 34mm RDA, and you've got some of these, I don't even know what they're called, these things that are 54mm and 50mm and all these mad fucking tanks. I've got one of the ones that sits on top of the hog. I can't remember what it's called. Big old fucking thing anyway, 50mm or whatever that is. To think that's running a 510 thread's fucking crazy. Where actually, if you go to something like something that's 4 times bigger, but then you make a connection that screws into that hole that's 4 times bigger, that then converts that hole back down to a 510. So if you've got an RDA that needs that, you can use it, but you've got an appropriate size one if you've got something. It don't make sense to me to run 510 when it was designed for a fucking E-light cigarette. It's the only reason why 510 threads used.
And someone's going to come out with a big fucking 510 now.
Mate, I mean, I remember Eric Hutchinson speaking about this when we was first talking about the 2700, so 2 years ago. And I remember Eric messaging me and saying, Paul, I think I'm going to go for this new size thread. Would you follow suit? And I said,
an 810.
I don't even think it's an 810, mate. I don't understand why an 810 drip tip's an 810 drip tip, and a 510 drip tip makes no fucking sense either. Because actually an 810 drip tip's a 1/2 inch. So why it's called an 810, I don't know. I think it's just because it's bigger than a 510. I really haven't got a clue. Someone might tell me why it's an 810 and why it's a 510. But a 510 drip tip, I don't know why it was called that. Really haven't got a fucking clue, because the measurements don't make it a 510, and certainly on an 810, It's a ½ inch dead. So I mean, but I'm thinking, like, maybe the size of the ½ inch. So then it would be an 810 in theory, according to the drip tip.
Yeah, yeah.
A 510 thread is actually to do with the size and the pitch of the threads. So it's actually the die that's used, which is where the 510 comes from for the actual threading on the hole.
Right.
So it's something like, I can't remember.
See, that's education right there. People don't even have a clue to that, what that means. That's education right there. That's just very basic.
It's to do with the pitch and the threads. So it's the die. It's a 510 die that cuts that hole, which is so many threads per inch, and it's still to do with the angle and the size of the threads. That's all I know, and I know that because we had some clone mods come into our shop before, and the 510 was fucked on them, and it was just machined too tight. And I remember going to Hero at Signature Tips, and he explained to me what the die was and what size it was to get that cut. And I borrowed the die off him, and we re-died the threads out so the RDAs would screw on and off them properly. And then obviously you've got the male and the female. The one that cuts the RDA thread is the female, and the one that cuts the actual hybrid hole is the male. So that they just make opposing threads. So I mean, if you can imagine a 510 that's the same size as an 810 drip tip hole, that makes so much more sense.
Yeah.
But then if you could have an adapter that screws onto the bottom of the RDA to make it a 510, or you have an adapter that screws into the hole on the mod that makes that 510, you can then still interchange the RDA to a different mod or a different RDA to that mod. But if you're using the right mod with the right RDA, you can run it with the big fat one, which just gives it much more stability as well. It just gives it a lot more stability. But the thing for me was you could massively increase the surface area of the contact from the battery, which means the 510 pin on the RDA could be bigger, which means everything's stronger on the RDA.
See, I do like the idea. I just think it'll take a few people to get behind it to do it. I really do, but I think it's a good idea, and from a safety aspect, from a connectivity aspect, it fucking works brilliantly. Because as you said, it just works. It just works. It just does what it does. Would you have it the same size as the top of a battery, though? Would you have it smaller?
No, it'd have to be slightly small. It doesn't matter if that's bigger. It's the actual. Then you've got the copper insert inside that thread. It's your contact. Would have to be less than 10 mil. But you've got an 18 mil battery, on 18650, I think, again off the top of my head. On the negative end, you've got around about 13.5, 14 mil of contact, and on the positive, you've got about 10 or 11, because it tapers in on the top of the positive. But you could, I think 10 mil. You could have a 10 mil contact. You could have a 10 mil pin in the RDA.
What does the pin sit at now? What size are the pins now? Standard pin?
Mate, probably 3 or 4 mil.
3 or 4 mil.
There's no set size for them because our one's particular to our mod. Pretty much.
But you're like tripling it in size, aren't you? You're going to triple it in size. Get on to China after Expo. Get on to China after Expo.
I mean, to be honest, mate, I could say to them, make me a sample RDA, and just all I need is a new hybrid, and one deck, and see how it goes, and fuck about with it, and then work backwards from that. Can we then get an insert that screws into the hybrid that makes it 510?
Would you want to do that though, realistically?
I would, on the basis that if someone uses one of our dirtier mods and they want to use one of the headshot or whatever it is that Purge make, then I wouldn't want them to not buy our mod because they prefer a different RDA. And vice versa, if they had...
Could you not put it as an endless option though, as to run a 510 hybrid instead? So you can get the bigger size hybrid and the 510 hybrid. Couldn't that be part of the endless option?
I mean, it could be, but again, I just think if we're doing something that's specific to our mod, I wouldn't necessarily want. I'd rather charge an extra few quid for the mod to buy it and have the option in the packet and sell a plug for $6.99 or $8.99 that fills a hole in our mod so they can use someone else's RDA. So I'm not comfortable with that, to be honest. But as long as they can use our setup as a setup and then change the bits they need to, because the other thing is, I'm 99% sure we could do an RDA that's just full hybrid that would screw into the dirtier, and it would adjust the same as it, but it would be the base of the RDA.
And make the base bigger through doing it as a hybrid sort of idea.
Just make a completely new deck that's hybrid, that's actually the same threads as the hybrid threads, that screws straight into the mod. And it either screws down flush if you're on 18650, or it sits up if you're on 2700 or 21700. But it's actually part and parcel of the deck, because again that takes another thread out of the equation, because we've got the thread of the hybrid screwing into the mod, we've got the thread of the RDA screwing into the hybrid. And I did toy with that idea, and again, if I'm being absolutely honest, the reason why I didn't do it was because time was so tight. And you know yourself, we had the samples coming. I've modified the mod slightly, and we've done away with the 5 and the 10mm extensions on the mod, so actually the hybrid now adjusts up and down depending on what battery you're using. I've only seen that on video. Now the changes weren't such that I have to worry that it don't work, because it cannot not work, because I know that it has to work the way that I drew it. So but if we'd have had a little bit more time, I would have said to machine me up a hybrid RDA that is just the top cap, all with the post built into it. And then the other thing I toyed with doing was, instead of having like the negative machined into the deck, should we have had it like a goon where it screws in? So actually then we can offer different post options where you can buy a post kit and screw it back into the same deck.
So making it like the negative we said before, for like series.
Well, just literally, so like at the moment on all of our decks up till now, I think, in fact I'm 99% sure, all of our negative posts have been part and parcel of the deck. It's all machined one piece with the deck. But on a goon, their negative is actually screwed in from the bottom of the deck. So you can take their negative post out and change it. And then obviously the positive post sits in a Delrin insulator and goes through the 510 pin, and it's fixed that way. So I thought about if we could machine the base of the RDA in such a way that all the base of all of our post configurations are the same, but what sticks up is different, then you could buy one where it's got a negative center post, so you can run double cores, but it's a single build in theory, because it would act as a series build. You could put clamps in there, you could put side clamps in there, you could put holes in there like the V2S. You could actually then start coming out with different post designs that just fit into that deck. And the thing with the 34mm one, it's a nice big deck to make it work. As you start coming down in size, and certainly like now, after using a dirty for so long, when I started putting a build on a Slam M25, which is the same size deck for a Slam M24, so I think it's a 22mm size deck. And then you've got the coupler, you've got a mill either side for a 24 and a mill and a half either side for a 25. I was like, fucking hell, it's little this is. But then when I think about putting a fucking build on a 3-post battle deck, where you'd have to pre-bend your legs and everything because your center was your positive and your outsides were your negative. And I can remember even Tasha's stacked cotton candy. He's got a series build in there. In the battle deck, and I'm like, I don't even know how the fuck I got it in there. It's crazy. But that's what we used to have to do, innit? You just have to get on with it and fucking find a way of making it work.
That is it. That is exactly it. Well, we've got some news to go over, but we don't have to if we don't want to.
I'm cool,
Well, I just wanted to discuss the Tobacco 21 bill. I don't know if you've heard about it.
I haven't, no.
The Tobacco 21 bill is obviously, we discussed about the change in the consent age for vaping to 21 in the States. But with inside this tobacco bill, so it's called Tobacco 21 bill, But inside the tobacco 21 bill it's the main bill is called Reversing the Youth Tobacco Epidemic Act. That's what it's called, and it is now in wherever you want to, where like our House of Commons, they're now discussing putting it in a place, but they are 100% wanting to ban online sales of vaping in America.
The Yanks getting fucked, mate.
100% ban on online sales.
Meekin decides to find Laura.
So I'm not sure what the laws are with, but I mean, obviously, I know you can go onto Morrison's and buy cigarettes for your online shop.
Can you?
But when they deliver it, it states on there you've got to be 18 to receive it. If they don't think you're 18, you've got to show ID. It states all of that on the listing. Now, one of the issues that I've got personally is that, and I think I said this a few weeks ago, I found out a few weeks ago that my son's got a PayPal account. Now, he's obviously 16, but he's had that PayPal account since before he was 16. Now, I don't know whether he can go on our website and buy vaping products with his own PayPal account at 15 years old, and the reality is he probably can. Now, should there be some sort of software that sits at the back end of our website that recognises that that is under 16s? Well, it should be under 18 now. Obviously, Billy's 16, he's got a PayPal. He could go on our website and buy vaping products, and we just get the order and we post it out to him. 16-year-old kid getting the product at the other end. In the shop, you've got to be 18, you've got to look 21, and if you don't, we're asking you for ID. So
25 now.
In the UK?
Yeah. Ask 25, it's called. 25 now. You get fucking ID'd for Red Bull in fucking Morrison's now.
I ain't been ID'd for nothing for about fucking 30 years now.
I'm not going to say I don't know why. Maybe because it's your fucking 6'3" and you do look like a 42-year-old. Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah, I mean, we get in our shop a lot where people are like, they get really put out by it, you know, like saying, well, I've got a kid, there's a friend of mine whose son goes in the shop. I know he's over 18. So, like, if I was in there, I'd say I know he's 18 serving, because even if trading stands, I know he's over 18 years old, so it's not a problem. But like, I'd been in the shop when we got a new member of staff, and they're like, "Excuse me, mate, I need some ID." And he's like, "No, what do you need ID for, man?" And the trouble is, like, the kids now, they get too leery about it. Do you know what I mean? They get all fucking overexcited that you fucked them off, and they're like, "Fuck you, I'm never using you again. Don't use us." I said, "Mate, get the fuck out of the shop, you prick." Actually, if you were fucking 18, you wouldn't be acting like a fucking 13-year-old. Now, fuck off.
Yeah, there's ways and stuff about it. It's simple, innit? It's the law. You've got to do it. One last thing on the news side of things. I don't know if you heard of this word, but I only heard of it today. The word Vapril.
What the fuck's Vapril? Vape in April.
Exactly what I said when I saw the news article. Vapril. They're trying to kick off in April the big campaign of vaping, and the picture on the
24th of April, and I only just know about this.
That's what I'm saying. I didn't know about it till today. I was like, Vapril. I've not heard anyone say it.
Vaping campaign August, October, but Vapril.
I ain't heard of it until today. But what was said is that Iniken were promoting the T182 on buses in London. Iniken of all people, I thought it would have said fucking like Vibe or Blue or somebody like that, but it was Iniken that was actually putting stuff on buses. So whether it's a thing that Iniken started, but supposedly wearing Vapril, I've never heard of it.
Mate, Vapril is like, it's such a cool thing. But we should have been discussing this in February So in March we start promoting Vapor, and in April we fucking do Vapor. Now we're gonna have to do fucking August.
Focused. That's what I mean. I saw the post today and I was like, well, I've not seen this on social media. This is the first time I've seen it posted on the internet. Why does nobody know about it? Because I thought it was a pretty cool idea to have our own month of sort of promoting non-smoking and getting people onto vaping, which a lot of people use Stoptober, don't they? A Swaptober, which I pretty like Swaptober. But to have our own month and nobody know about it was pretty confusing for me. So I wanted to know if you knew about Vapor.
If I'd have known about Vapor, mate, I'd have been doing a live feed every morning saying it's Vapor. Cigarettes and half and boys off of vape.
I'm telling you. Right, well, I've got no more news that's of any importance, so we'll do status of the week.
What was the quiz you were going to ask me?
I was going to do Would You Rather, but the question I asked you first, you were kind of like, fuck that, we're not doing that.
Yeah, I want to do it.
We can do it. You want me to do it?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you the same question I asked you before then. Right, so the first question is, would you rather sit on a cake and eat dick, or would you rather sit on a dick and eat cake? And you have to answer why.
I would rather sit on a cake and eat dick, because I don't think I'd ever sleep again if I had a dick up there.
I feel like I'd feel more violated having a dick up my ass than I would in my face. I'm not even gonna lie to you.
I could shut my eyes and pretend it's a twister.
But would you be more comfortable sitting on the dick and eating the cake, though?
No. Mate, I've had half a digit go up my ass when I've used really cheap toilet paper, and even that makes me uncomfortable.
Oh my fucking god! Oh my! I literally went on Would You Rather questions, and there is some absolute fucking vile ones on Would You Rather. So I'm not gonna go for the vile ones. Would you rather fight 100 duck-sized rhinos, or a rhino-sized duck?
100 duck-sized rhinos, or one rhino-sized duck.
This one's an hard one.
Mate, I think I'd rather just fight a big old duck. Yeah, because even 100 ducks, man, they fucking don't fuck about, do they?
No, so little rhinos, 100 little rhinos, the size of a duck, or a big fucking duck, the size of a rhino.
Same, I don't know, man. I'm just trying to think in my head how quickly you could volley these little rhinos off.
You can kick them off.
But then I'm thinking, I bet, like, even a duck-sized rhino is going to be a weighty little cunt, isn't it?
yeah, that's the problem. It's going to be a big fucking duck, in it.
And I don't reckon you'd stamp them out with one stamp either.
I reckon you could kick the rhino-sized ducks, but I don't think you'd fucking be able to go for the big duck, because it just fucking peck you, wouldn't it? Huh? Just like the rhinos would fucking try on your ankles, you'd get a fucking.
You'd have to try and fucking sweep kick one of his stringy legs, man. Try and set one of his big legs out.
Telling you. So, which one are you going for? You're going for the big duck or the little rhino?
I thought the big duck.
When I think of the duck, have you ever seen Family Guy when Peter Griffin fights the fucking chicken?
I've never watched Family Guy in my life.
Have you never watched Family Guy?
No.
That's what it makes me think of. Right, here we go. This I think I know your answer to this one. Would you rather die in 20 years with no regrets, or die in 50 years with many regrets?
I'd rather die in 20 years with no regrets.
No regrets.
About an issue that's been playing on her mind. I just want you to know.
Give me a reason why no regrets.
About it.
Because if I lived another 50 years, I'd be 92. I'd be fucked anyway. And to think I'd be sitting there fucked and my head knotted because I hadn't done everything I wanted to do. I'd much rather die at fucking 60 odd years old, knowing that I'd live my life to my full.
I like that. I like that answer. Would you rather give up bathing every morning or giving up the internet for a month? Like literally no
But
internet.
literally, I'd give up the internet for a month.
How would you do your work? How would you send emails?
Fuck the emails, man.
You'd have to start sending letters.
I'll send a letter.
No internet.
I'll send a fax, mate.
Do you still have a fax machine?
No.
Try and find one.
I used to have a fax machine in my house.
Really?
Boy, no one ever faxed me on
You just did it because you were balling.
it. Might have even been an old one from work, and I was like, I'll have that.
Was it a telephone and fax or just a fax?
No, it was just a fax. It was a fax machine. Just a fax machine. Fax, mate. I can remember when we used to have in the factory, even before fax. Was it telecom or something?
What was that?
It's not even older than fax, and I don't even know what the fuck it done.
When you said telecom, I was thinking, is that where they share fucking lines from houses where you pick up phone and Shirley's on it talking about a fucking period last week?
What telecom? I can't think what it was called.
Was it like code?
Fuck knows, mate. Fax is just shocking.
Yeah, but that's what you've got to go to. No internet for a week, for a month.
Mate, honestly, I'd love to be in a position to just not have internet for a month.
I think honestly, in the day and age we live in and not having no internet, I think the world would fucking, if you turned off the internet tomorrow for the world would stop.
Now, you know what? It's not even the internet. Social media.
I don't know. I think the internet as a whole is kind of toxic at times.
But there's nothing toxic about Google.
Well, it depends what it's Google. It depends what you look on Google, whether it's toxic or not.
That's what Google's not toxic. It's the knobhead sat this side of the computer that's toxic.
Yeah. So, are you gonna go for the no internet?
Yeah, definitely.
I honestly think you'd crack.
Me? Mate,
Yeah, I reckon you'd crack.
You know what? Obviously, as far as the business is concerned, both in my job and with the shop and whatever, if I knew that all that was being taken care of, honestly, gladly I'd switch it off for a month. It's stupid to do that, and then at the end of the month I ain't got a job and the business is fucked. That don't make any sense. But I mean, if that was being managed, I'd gladly come off internet for a month.
I think it would have
sat here laughing.
He's like, nah, I wouldn't.
Laughing. But I swear to God, mate.
What are you going to do there?
Send fax.
Google.
Yeah, I'd have to go and fetch my own McDonald's, mate. I wouldn't be able to use Uber Eats. No, fuck that.
Yeah, no. I honestly think the internet, if it was to be turned off tomorrow, so many fucking lives, people would not know what to do.
It'd be like the fucking zombie apocalypse, right?
People would actually have to go outside and talk to each other. And we can't fucking have that. Right. Would you rather have constantly dry eyes or a runny nose? You've got to choose one. You've got to have really dry eyes or constant runny nose.
And dry eyes.
You'd rather go for the runny nose? Fuck that. Every 2 fucking minutes, your nose will be red raw.
How red raw do you think your eyes would be, though, bone dry, you mad
I'm
cunt?
not going to fucking touch them.
What?
But fucking wiping snot off your fucking face every 2 seconds.
Yeah, but you're blinking all the time with drawers, mate. You'd always be fucked.
Yeah, I don't like fucking with eyes.
Go
Yeah.
and get 2 Always Ultras, cut a circle out, stick them on your eyeballs, and then you blink away with an Always Ultra, soaking every bit of moisture out of your eyeballs. And then tell me you'd rather have that than a runny nose, mate. Not a chance.
That is true. Right. Would you rather have legs for fingers or fingers for legs? Just imagine you're standing on your
Mate,
fingers.
this might be a question you need to ask Tasha. Would I rather have legs for fingers or fingers for legs? And Tasha just went. So, I'm guessing you'd rather me have fucking legs for fingers.
Yeah. Oh my god. Oh, let me find another one. I had a load set up, but they are literally dark as fuck.
Come on, go for the dark ones.
You really want to go for dark ones?
Yeah, let's go for them.
Right, hold on. Like some of them are fucking dark. Right, here's one of the dark ones. Would you rather watch your parents have sex every day for the rest of your life, or join in the once and never have it happen again?
I've joined in one. Would you rather watch your parents have sex every day for the rest of your life, or join in once and never have it happen again?
The question is, why would you join? And just to let you know, cupping the balls is not classed as joining in.
What about if I was to guide him into my mum? Is that classed as joining in?
No, you got to join in, and I'm gonna be honest, and I'm not joining in.
Mum and Dad have a fuck every day for the rest of your life.
It comes routine, doesn't it? It comes routine. It might mentally fuck me, but it'd more mentally fuck me if I've got to ramp my dad. Do you know what I mean?
Why your dad? Why did you choose to fuck your dad and not your mum?
It's just no, nope. Because knowing me, my would you rather game would be a fucked up would you rather fucking game. Oh, right. Would you rather watch a porno with your parents or a porno of your parents?
I'd rather watch a porno with my parents.
With your parents?
Yeah.
It'd be super awkward on both fucking aspects.
Mate, it's not as awkward as watching mum with your mum and dad and then having a cheeky wank.
Oh my god. Right, let me get some rotten ones up. There is some proper rotten ones. Oh, here we go. What the fuck? Hold on. What was that? With the fat one? I can't find the fat one. Oh, would you rather every time you stood up you pissed yourself, or every time you sat down you shit yourself? Which would you rather? Either way, you're fucked. I'm going for the piss because piss will dry. Shit does not.
Shit will dry eventually.
Yeah, eventually. Not as quick as piss.
I'd rather piss myself every time I stood up.
Piss yourself.
Shit myself every time.
And wearing nappies is not, you cannot stipulate wearing a nappy either. It is literally down the legs. Right. Would you rather fart every time you laugh or burp every time you cry?
I'd rather burp every time I cried.
Mineral 89. With 89% of Vichy mineralizing
Would
and
you?
higher
What's
acid.
I had load. Oh, here we go. Would you rather wear someone else's dirty underwear or use their toothbrush?
Use a toothbrush.
Why?
Because I feel like a toothbrush is self-cleaning in some senses. To put someone's pants on that are still warm, it's fucking shocking. That's like the next closest thing to that is when you get to the service station for a shit and the box seat's fucking toasty warm and you know someone just got off it. I hate that. I'd rather get onto a freezing cold fucking shithouse seat than a warm one.
It's right. This is going to be the last one. Would you rather drink 2 liters of piss or 2 liters of sweat?
Oh,
Both of them are fucking grimy.
probably 2 litres. I don't know, man. 2 litres of sweat.
2 liters of piss or 2 liters of sweat?
I
I'm
reckon
going
2
piss.
litres of piss,
I'm
actually.
going piss because piss is meant to be good for you.
The only thing is, if it was 2 litres of my own piss, that's even grimmer because I don't drink a lot of fluid, so my own piss is like shocking.
I'm diabetic, so I'll nominate myself. It tastes like sugar puffs.
I was going to say, yours is all right. It'd be like drinking fucking syrup.
Right, we'll get to some would you rathers later on. We're going to do status of the week, and I relate massively to this fucking status of the week, and it was one you posted literally 4 hours ago, and it was about £5 each, plus posted, PayPal friends and family only, inbox special rates for bulk purchase, and it's the McDonald's new straws. They are fucking shocking, absolutely fucking shocking. What do you think? Fucking, what's made them do it?
Mate, we get to TGI Fridays, or we used to go quite regular. Now we probably go once every couple of months or something like that. And we went a few months ago, and they got fucking plastic straws, paper straws, and they're just fucking. I don't like the. It's not even like if the paper straw was up to the job, I'd use one. But I don't like the feel of a fucking paper straw on my mouth anyway, because it gives me that fucking same sort of cringy feeling as pulling apart cotton wool, which grips my shit anyway. But a McDonald's straw literally cannot see out the life of a fucking McDonald's milkshake. It's fucked. It's literally fucked before you've finished it. And I already put a post up about I tagged McDonald's in it for starters earlier on. They were saying, get a fucking sort of this straw scenario out. I've seen it posted everywhere, and I've seen all these do-gooder cunts going, "Well, you could just take the top off and drink it like a normal cup." Are you on about the plastic top, mate? You on about the plastic top that you put on my drink, and then you give me a paper straw that's barely strong enough to pierce the fucking plastic top for starters. The straw's fucked before you've got it in the cup, and then I put my paper straw into my plastic lid, into my drink, and I put that to one side. Then I take my plastic pots of fucking sauce out the bag that are the wrong sauce that I asked for, so they don't even get used, so they get thrown in the bin, not even opened. And my kid gets a fucking shitty toy in a plastic bag that's made of plastic, but she's crying because she don't want the toy. She wants to drink a milkshake, but she can't because the paper straw's fucked.
The bend at the end, don't they? Like crumple up in the end.
They're just fucked. And then we had McFlurries in the week. They come with a plastic spoon that you don't even really need to use because we've got spoons in the cupboard. So stick all the fucking McFlurry spoons in the bin and put plastic straws back in, and put wooden spoons in for your McFlurry.
I like the idea of wooden spoons.
I don't like wooden spoons either because I always imagine having sliding it off and then getting a dirty splinter on the inside of your lip off the spoon.
The question is, do you think they're going to go back to the plastic straws?
I think they should just put stainless steel straws in. Like, what I was going to say was, we went to TGI's yesterday and they've gone back to plastic straws.
Because of the uproar.
Can't take her eye off the ball, Forrest.
So they've gone back to plastic straws. Because I was going to ask the woman in TGI's if she could give me a bag of plastic straws so I could keep them in my car to use them on McDonald's.
And do you think she would have said fuck off?
Probably not, mate, because we always tip them well in TGI's.
Should have asked for a bag then.
I didn't tip her yesterday. Well, yesterday she got about 62 pence tip because it comes to £89.40. So she got 90 quid. So normally, if it comes to 83 quid, they're laughing because we've never got a fiver on us, so they get 7 quid.
I love you going then. I bet they get you top service.
Yeah, they're all like super fucking. Every day's Friday in there, and they're always super happy, even though you know they're well pissed off. They've had to work on a Tuesday. And then it's like the words on the receipt. Hope you enjoyed your meal. Lots of love, fucking Sarah, with a little smiley face and that. Fuck you, Sarah. You've got 40 pence. Nothing to fuck yourself out with that.
Well, we may have to do a show early next week, maybe Tuesday. Because obviously I'll be in Birmingham Wednesday and we might not be finished till late.
Wednesday, what time are you coming down Wednesday?
Depends. I've got to go to Lincoln to pick Kevin up, then to come all the way down to Birmingham.
So you got to go to Lincoln, then down to Birmingham. So you should be down here for about 10 o'clock, shouldn't you, lazy prick?
It's an hour and a half to fucking Lincoln and then 2 hours and 20 down to Birmingham, which whatever time you need me, but as I say, it depends.
No, I mean, I'm not
doing
arsed. I was thinking, obviously, if you get done what's got to get done, then you and Kevin come over ours and I'll make Kevin a spicy curry.
Can we please not murder Kevin till Monday morning?
Yeah, I'll definitely wait for Kevin a curry until Sunday night at the very earliest. Once everything's packed in the van, I'll force a fucking hot chicken wing down his neck.
He needs a bit of jerk in his life, the plain Jane. Well, as I say, we'll probably see you next Wednesday. If whoever's coming to Expo, we're happy to come and see us, come and say hello. You know what I mean? Show us your faces. It's always good to see you. So make sure you join us. Thank you ever so much for joining us. YouTube, Facebook. I'm going to cut off Facebook first. Paul, I'll see you in a minute.
Facebook, good night.
And YouTube, we'll see you soon. Thank you ever so much, guys. I'm steamed up like fuck. I'm going.